All right, welcome to the Young Turks. We got an awesome show for you guys today. Did you catch that? It's going to be an awesome show for you today. All right, now I'm going to start you out with some clips in a second, but I want to give you some warnings here. I warn you, we have a very funny Sarah Palin story coming up. Further warning, Carrie Prejean. Oh, she's making a mess of herself. Well, she's been doing a lot of things to herself. You'll understand that later. All right, for those of you who saw an earlier story we did on that, I think you know what I'm talking about. All right, now, look, Anna has made me save that story for the third hour. So I need you to buckle up and buckle down on that one. Batten down the hatches. We're going to get to that in the third hour, and then we're going to unload. Fire. Fire. All right, so all these fun things are coming up. You know what? Yesterday, I was saying that the Stupak Amendment is very troubling. I obviously definitively disagree with it. In fact, I explained how you can go about trying to defeat the people who voted for it. In fact, we put together a list and put it on our website, theyoungturks.com, because that's how we roll. But I said that it is tangential to what's happening with the health care bill, and that I wouldn't necessarily let it derail the whole process. Now, there's been a lot of development since, but some of you wrote in and said, yeah, isn't it convenient that you're going to throw, women's rights under the bus here? We need a bus sound effect, man. Something going over a bus chair. I don't know. Work with me. Oh, by the way, later in the program, we also have a woman getting run over by a train. Always fun on the Young Turks. Okay, so what we decided to do? We're going to bring on Jane Hampshire from Fire Dog Lake, who's steaming mad about the Stupak Amendment. She's on the warpath. I mean, there's war going on. And so we're going to get her perspective, so we get all the perspectives on the show. That's how we try to roll here, okay? Now, you know what? I was going to start with health care reform overall, but let's do Stupak for a second, right? Because I brought that up. Number one, we got a little bit of backpedal from Claire McCaskill, who's saying, did I say I could live with it? I'm not sure I meant that. And then Barbara Boxer coming out strong, saying, look, here's what's not happening in the Senate. This goddamn Stupak Amendment passing. I don't think she quite framed it that way. But for those of you who missed the show yesterday, just let me be perfectly clear. It's an amendment put together by a Democrat and a Republican. It's actually Stupak Pitts. Pitts is the Republican for that amendment. That won a significant majority of the House that does not allow you to get any funding for an abortion, which the Hyde Amendment we already have this standoff. We already have this agreement, basically, in Congress that you're not allowed to use public funding for an abortion. Now, so what this one did was it went further. It said you cannot use any money for your health care that's provided by the government to buy private insurance that would cover abortions. Okay, now, then that eliminates, since most of the things that would go on exchange, most of these private and public options, if we do have a public option, would all go on exchange. And in order to be on the exchange, you've got to not provide abortions so that people can buy that plan. Because if they buy that plan and it provides an abortion, then they can't use subsidy if they need it from the government, right? So because of the way that it's structured, it has a tremendous effect, practical effect, on whether you can actually, whether you have the right to an abortion in this country. And whether you'll be able to exercise that right more accurately. So Boxer goes on the warpath and says, look, it's not in the health care bill. So you want to talk, how procedurally this thing works out. So in order for you to put it into the health care bill, well, you like filibusters? How you like these filibusters? Well, I can guarantee you're not going to get 60 senators on your side, because I'm going to be able to marshal more than 40 senators to say, yeah, no. Ask our friend Ed Reed on what he thinks about that. And the answer you'll get is, hell no. So she's saying that we'll pull every legislative maneuver that we have to make sure that's not part of the bill. So now it looks pretty good that it's not going to be in the Senate version of the bill. Now, what they do in conference when they bring in the Senate and the House side, well, that's a really interesting question, and we'll see how that affects votes in the House if it's not in the overall bill, et cetera. But meanwhile, Rachel Maddow last night on MSNBC did a very good segment on why Stupak, who's a Democrat from Michigan, might have gotten involved in this kind of amendment in the first place. Now, you say, hey, look, he's pro-life, that's why. But apparently he's not someone that's brought up this kind of legislation a lot before. But he does have a connection with people who have, like, for example, Pitts, who was brought up many times, who's a Republican. And honestly, I did not know this connection until I watched Rachel's show, so I thought she made a great point about it. So let's just share with you guys real quick part of the segment that she did. Clip number 8, guys.
Mr. Stupak's name also rang a bell for me because of C Street. Conservative Democrat Bart Stupak lives at the townhouse on C Street, operated by the secretive religious group, The Family. The anti-abortion Stupak Amendment is technically called the Stupak-Pitts Amendment for its co-sponsor, Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Joe Pitts. And it turns out, Mr. Pitts, also a core member of C Street's The Family. So Stupak and Pitts of Stupak-Pitts are both C Streeters. And as negotiations approached a vote in the House on health reform, Mr. Stupak promised that a coalition of 40 anti-abortion Democrats would vote for the health reform bill if and only if the Stupak-Pitts anti-abortion amendment passed. In the end, 26 of those Democrats voted for Stupak-Pitts and against the health reform bill that included it anyway. Included in that group of 26 were Democrats like Missouri's Ike Skelton, reportedly a member of The Family. North Carolina's Mike McIntyre, reportedly a member of The Family. Tennessee's John Tanner, reportedly a member of The Family. Lincoln Davis, also of Tennessee, also reportedly a member of The Family. Oklahoma's Dan Boren, reportedly a member of The Family. Another Democrat who voted for the Stupak-Pitts Amendment and against the health reform bill, former NFL quarterback and North Carolina Democrat Heath Shuler, who also reportedly lives at C Street, but who weirdly recently wouldn't confirm that information to his hometown newspaper. If 2 is a coincidence and 3 is a trend, what's 8? Because C Street shares the same code of silence as Fight Club, none of its members can be counted on to be forthright about the family's role in trading the promise of votes for a regressive anti-abortion amendment. What is clear is that C Street isn't at all just for Republican lawmakers.
All right. Is anybody else uncomfortable with this group called The Family running things and deciding what our laws are and whether you get to have the right to control your own body or not? Okay, seriously, how creepy is The Family? Well, The Family says this law must pass. Hence, it's going to pass. That's what The Family has said. I don't know, man. Look, you know, this feeds the conspiracy theory guys. You know, like, oh, yeah, everything's run by Skull and Bones and the Bilderberg Group and something else or other, and it's all related to 9/11 and the Council on Foreign Relations. Okay, now, look, Council on Foreign Relations is real. All these people are people who are experts on foreign policy, et cetera, right? And you can trace who they are, where they're from, and what they do. There's nothing secret about the Council on Foreign Relations. But The Family is real, and it is secret. They don't tell you what their purpose is. They don't tell you how they get their funding. They don't tell you any of this stuff. We had Jeff Charlotte, who wrote about it on the program before. And they obviously control a lot of politicians, Republicans and Democrats. And they have them do their bidding for their weird religious cult or whatever it is. Honestly, I don't know what it is. I mean, look, it's definitely religious. It appears to be Christianity-based. But who knows what they're doing in their basement and what kind of silly games they're playing with each other. And, you know, look, I'm not even going to speculate as to what they're doing down in that basement in C Street, okay? But what I know is it's having an effect on all of our lives, and that's what's unacceptable. So people sometimes ask me, like, why go on a warpath sometimes against religion, right? This is why. This is why. Like, if you didn't get your religion into my business, well, have at it, horse, go crazy. Believe in whatever God you want to believe in. Believe in, you know, Thor and how he sends down his thunder hammer every once in a while. As long as Thor's not running the show and telling me and women across this country what to do with their body. And getting into our bedrooms and getting into our, you know, this. You want to talk about getting between you and your doctor? That's what the Republicans complained about as far as health care. And then they go and put together an amendment along with the family Democrats who get right between you and your doctor and your ability to choose an abortion or not. your practical ability to choose, because then you won't have the money for it. So, no, I can't have secret religious organizations telling our idiotic congressmen how to vote and then getting these amendments passed. It's totally unacceptable. If this family stuff is affecting them so much and they all live in the same house and they all believe in these principles, well, out with it. Tell us what it is. Tell us what your sky god tells you and why you're voting the way you are. It's really disturbing, man. It really is. So, can you imagine if there was a club of atheists? I mean, let's walk with me a little bit. Let's go to an imaginary America where they, all live in the same house. There are, dozens of atheist congressmen and senators, and they all get together and they do rituals and they meet together every week, but they won't tell you what it's about. And then they'll all come out, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, vote in the same block all the time and insist on certain legislation. Okay, atheists, that's scary enough. Some Christians will freak out over that, right? Okay, let's switch it. Let's make them Muslim. Bunch of Muslims get together. They're in the House and the Senate, and they all live in the same house, and they plot secretly in the basement, and then they come out and dictate legislation for the rest of us. How do you think that would fly? How do you think that one would go over? I mean, this is absolutely crazy, right? So, here's what I know I'm not interested in listening to whatever the goddamn family wants us to do, okay? So, anybody who goes along with these guys, in whatever their agenda is, got to get their head examined. Now, on the other hand, I don't want to be unfair here. Some people are just pro-life, and so their agenda jives with the the family agenda, whatever it happens to be, and that's why they vote that way. And a lot of Republicans vote that way. Some Democrats vote that way. That's normal part of politics. We talked about that yesterday. It's just, this Stupak guy is, according to a lot of people, including Jeff Charlotte, who was on Rachel's show last night, who wrote the book about the family, he called him not the brightest bulb around. So, they get these guys and they hook them, and then they tell them, oh, look, if you believe in God and you like all of us here hanging out, cooking marshmallows, singing, what do Christians sing? I don't know. Here comes Jesus. Jesus rocks the world. I don't know. Jesus is awesome. He's coming. Make sure you vote against women. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, my guess is he doesn't sing that. But and then they get railroaded into voting. But hey, look, it's totally their responsibility. And if you don't like it, you should definitely vote their asses out, Republican or Democrat. Okay, so now let's move to healthcare reform part of this broader topic. Now we've got the dueling filibusters.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got them.
I have got to check that thing before I play something. Okay, all right, so start over. Now we've got dueling filibusters. So, Joe Lieberman, he's trying to do the filibuster on the side of getting rid of the public option. But, let's remind you, he was on Fox News Channel over the weekend, Fox News Sunday. So let's go to clip number 1 here. And I'm sorry to do this to you, but let's listen to Joe Lieberman for a second.
The House passed health care. What do you think of the bill they passed? And do you still intend, if there is a public option and if there's this tax on so-called Cadillac health plans, will you support a Republican filibuster on final passage in the Senate?
Well, there's some good things in the House passed plan. I think we ought to do health care reform this year to deal with the two great problems that President Obama and others have talked about. There are unsustainable continuing increases in the cost of health care. We've got to stop that. And there are millions of Americans who don't have health insurance. But I'm afraid that our colleagues in the House added a lot onto that subtract from the genuine purposes of health care reform. And one was to create a public option plan.
So at this point, I take it you're a no vote in the Senate.
If the public option plan is in there, as a matter of conscience, I will not allow this bill to come to a final vote.
Matter of conscience, please. Remember all those quotes we read you from Joe Lieberman last week, where he's like, health care reform is the most important thing. We have to have it done. And then earlier in his career, 94 and then later as well, where he's like, the filibuster is the worst thing in the world. Do you know he tried to get rid of the filibuster back in 94? Where he said, well, you know what, in the first vote you need 60, but in the second 57, then 55, 54, et cetera, to get it easier and easier to get past filibusters. He says it blocked up everything that was happening in Washington, and it was what ails Washington. Now he's saying, oh, it's a matter of conscience. If I let Americans get better health care coverage at lower prices, well, then the insurance companies that pay me won't make as much money. You see how that bothers my conscience. So now, since he's put his flag on the ground there and drawn his line in the sand, well, yeah, you got to go try to appease him, right? So, well, then Bernie Sanders thinks, well, two can play at that game. How do you like me now? I'm going to go ahead and filibuster if there isn't a public option. Let's go to clip number 2. Listen for Senator Sanders here.
Are you drawing a line in the sand? Are you saying that this has to have a public option?
What I'm saying is that if the bill ends up being nothing more than hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies for the insurance companies and the drug companies, if it's not affordable for the middle class, if we don't have a public option, widely diverse, so that people all over this country can enjoy it, then I think it's not worth proceeding. And I'm going to fight very hard to make sure that we have those aspects of the bill in there.
Not worth proceeding, meaning, all right, well then I'll filibuster in the opposite direction. Now, that was not a slip of the tongue. He, went further down that road on Ed Schultz's program. He went on Rachel Maddow's program, said the same thing. So basically, it's on. Sanders versus Lieberman. The filibuster battle begins. All right, fun for everybody. Now, why is that so important? Because, look, if only one side says I'm going to filibuster, then they have to go and try to appease that side. Say, okay, please, Lieberman, here, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, or we'll drop the public option. If there's no threat from the other side, well, then they could do that all day long. Now, if you have the threat from this side and Sanders says, look, it's me, and I got a whole bunch of other senators, and a great majority of senators agree with me, well, I'm going to stop it the other way. So how do you like me now? Now we have a standoff. Okay, now you got to appease both of us, or you got to find out what the majority of your senators want. So now this could push it to reconciliation instead, meaning that neither side is going to get 60 senators. So they go to a different version of health care reform, pretty similar. They'd have to change it in some important respects, but the heart of it would still be the same, and they could get the public option in there and get through reconciliation, which only needs 50 votes, in which case, there's always compromises, and I get that, and that's part of the process. But in the end, it looks like we would win and they would lose. So unless we buckle, we have the better cards. Now, since our side are Democrats, will they play those cards strongly? Well, we're going to see. But at least one person is, and that's Senator Sanders today. So nicely done. We'll be right back. All right, back on the Young Turks. Now let's have a little bit of fun. Let's go to the press and all the crazy things that are happening here, and different gaffes of the conservatives and all the clownish things that they're doing today. Come on, fun for everybody. So if we're going to start with clowns, who's the lead clown in the circus these days? On the Republican side. Now, on the media side, you got a lot to pick from. But as far as official Republicans are concerned, it's clearly Michael Steele. So now, in the past, he's gotten himself in a lot of trouble for saying some ridiculous things, basically to please whoever he was talking to. When he was on with D.L. Hughley on CNN, he agreed with him that Rush Limbaugh was incendiary, and he said that Rush was ugly entertainment. And then afterwards, realizing that was an enormous error, if you're the head of the NRC, he came out and said, RNC. He came out and said, so Rush, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. No, I never meant that. So then he said that he was going to give some slum love to the Governor Jindal, Bobby Jindal of Louisiana. And then he was talking to a reporter and talking about how he was pro-life, but now he believes in individual choice. Well, that doesn't make no kind of sense. That means you're pro-choice, not pro-life, right? Because he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He's just trying to please whoever he's talking to, right? And then later he had to come out and be like, no, of course, I'm pro-life. I don't know what I was saying. And then Mitt Romney, he said lost because he was a Mormon. I mean, he's just insulting everybody in his path because he doesn't know what he's doing. So then now he's going to go talk to Roland Martin of CNN. So as soon as I saw that he was going to do this, I was like, I can't wait to see what he says to Roland. This ought to be good. And he doesn't disappoint. Here we go, Michael Steele.
How do you know, granted, popular president, got 95% of the black vote. You got any shot at getting black voters? And if so, what are the two issues that speaks to black voters the Republicans have a shot at?
Education and the economy. Education and jobs. Education and small business.
But your candidates got to talk to them. And one of the criticisms I've always had is Republicans, especially white Republicans, have been scared of black folks.
And what? No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've been in the room and they've been scared of me. I mean, I'm like, I'm on your side, so I can imagine going out there talking to someone like you, who, it's okay, I'll listen. And they're like, well,
Oh, what are you doing, Michael? What are you doing? I don't think that the rest of the Republicans are going to be that happy that you just told the rest of the country that when a black guy walks in the room, even if he's the head of the Republican National Committee, that they're a little scared of you. That's only a disastrous admission. And then my second favorite part was when he says to Roland, now they're scared of me already. Imagine you walking in the room. I mean, you're black and liberal. I mean, they'd be scared out of their minds. Does he understand what he's doing, or does he have no idea? I mean, he claims to be a chess master, and he's moving the pieces around and stuff. And he's doing strategery, as Bush would say. Jared, what do you think? Does this clown have any earthly idea what he's doing?
No. Just as he said, all that matters is that someone agrees with him or somebody's on his side. Like he said, I walk in the room, and they go, ooh. So he said, until I tell him, wait, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. I'm not here to take back and get my reparations. I'm not coming here to make you my slaves.
That's a great point, Jared, because I hadn't really thought of it that way. Like, why is he a Republican in the first place? Like, does he have any core principles? I can't really tell. I mean, he goes to the one side, he goes to the other side, depending on who he's talking to. And I don't get a sense of a guy who's like, oh, man, I will not move from this position, right? It's possible that he just ran into a Republican one day and wanted to please him. Just kept on going and going and going until he was, halfway into politics. But, that's how a lot of politicians are. They want to please people. They want to get affection and votes, etc. And like a lot of actors, they're very deeply insecure, right? And they just kept going until he was a Republican. Look, I know as Bush would say, that's a speculation, right? But that's the sense I get from him. The other things he said in the past is he told that one way to attract more blacks to his party was to offer fried chicken and potato salad. And then he said the Republican Party's open to everyone, including one-armed midgets.
So actually, this is the question. Is he saying this as just a made-up anecdote so he can agree with Roland Martin because Roland Martin said that, or because he's really experienced that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I was going with it, JR. That's my principal question. Like, in this particular case, you know what? To answer that question, I'm going to go no, that it doesn't actually happen, that he just said it to please Roland Martin. Like, because if it really does happen, he's got to be enormously uncomfortable with that, right? I mean, JR shaking his head, no?
No.
Hey, you think that's just his personality? He goes in and he's like, yes, sir.
Well, he can go in there and be like, well, they're going to first think that about me because I'm a black guy. And then once they find out I'm not that stereotypical black guy that they're all assuming I am, then they're okay with me. They're humans. They can accept black people. They're not against black people. They just have this thought of black people, and I don't fit that mold, so I'm cool with them. Now, if you roll and go in there, you're what they think black folks are, so they're not going to like you.
I mean, and 95% of black Americans agree with Roland Martin and don't agree with Michael Steele. So the Republicans are basically saying, well, if you're among that 5% who agree with us and who say we're right, well, then okay, then we like you.
Yeah, but the first thought is, oh, black folks, you're against us.
Yes.
And we're against you. I don't know if that's what they're saying.
See, I would believe that, JR, I would believe that a lot more than I would believe that they're simply afraid. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think that, and maybe I'm getting it wrong, but I don't think that Michael Steele walks into a room with his suit And a couple of Republicans are like, wallet check. Okay. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what fear means.
But maybe you're afraid of the intentions of. Like, we hear it. What Glenn Beck is always saying. This guy's in the White House now. You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to right the wrongs of the past. He's trying to change things back. Rush Limbaugh. See, this is what happens in Obama's America. Now black kids can beat up white kids on a school bus because it's never happened before. And over again, all this is constantly saying, well, guess what? When black people get in power, they're going to get in power, and they're going to change your life.
You know, that's a great point. Because, and it changed the way I look at it. Because in the beginning, I thought he meant like physically afraid, right? That's too much. I just don't think that's the case, right? But I see what you're saying, JR. They're afraid, as we've talked about before. Look, we took all of their stuff, so if they get in a position of power like we had, well, aren't they going to take all our stuff? Well, no, they're not. I mean, that was a long time ago, and that's how you rolled back then. And I don't put that on white folks, by the way. That's just history, right? Back then, people took slaves as, you know, in many cultures, including in Africa and including in the Middle East, and including before that in all the wars. You fight the wars, and you come in and you rape and you pillage once you win the town, and then you take the men as slaves. I mean, that happened throughout history, right? So, but we're past that. You know, I hope we're way, way, way past that. So it's not like somebody gains power and they think, okay, well, my turn for pillaging and taking all your shit, right? So I guess that's what they're afraid of. So like when Michael Steele comes in, they're like, okay, is he going to want our stuff? And by stuff in this case, I mean job, right? Money, wife. No, I'm just I'm only partly kidding. But anyway, so I guess that's what they're afraid of. And, you know, so the answer is probably somewhere in between. Probably he does sense that to some degree. And plus, since he's talking to Roland Martin, he's saying, oh, yeah, of course. Because he wants to please Roland Martin. Okay, so that's Michael Steele for you guys. You know what? Let's do clown number 2. Let's do Sarah Palin. So she's going to speak and at another engagement, and she likes doing this now because she's collecting the money for it. And every time she goes to speak, she says, look, this is off the record. We can't have anybody recording this in any way, because if they do, it's going to leak all over the internet, and she's going to look like, you know, an idiot, because she's going to say things out of turn and things that don't make sense, etc. And so far, there have been no tapes. But Politico had a couple of people, reporters that were in the room the last time she spoke, and they took notes of what she said. And they said she went off script many times, and I believe the term that the writer used was, went to a lot of verbal cul-de-sacs. Meaning she just went somewhere and then she didn't know where she was going, and she just kind of turned back around after running into a dead end and went on with the rest of her speech. But all that was interesting. She alluded to the death panels again. You know, fine, okay, she's crazy. I got it, right? But here's the fun part. She referenced a conspiracy theory about how they took In God We Trust and moved it to the side of the newly minted dollar coins. And she's like, I wonder who makes that kind of decision. Now, as it turns out, Senator Brownback and others fought back against that, and they got In God We Trust back on the front of the dollar coin. So everything is resolved, and luckily the conservatives in the Senate beat back that conspiracy theory where they were, of course, trying to minimize In God We Trust. Oh, that conspiracy theory, I'm sure, makes a lot of sense, Sarah. Oh, by the way, when did that happen? Oh, right, 2007, when Bush was president. Oh, come on, Sarah, please. If you're going to come up with asinine theories, at least look up when it happened. Like, she's implying that Obama's wasn't taken out In God We Trust, and I wonder who's making those kind of decisions. And it turns out it was the Bush administration making those decisions. Just a modicum of facts, research, anything, you know. But they're not even trying. They don't care. They're like, yeah. All you got to do is look into it a little bit. All right. So I'm glad she fought against that non-existent conspiracy that happened because of the Bush administration's insistence that we remove In God We Trust from a prominent place on the dollar coin. Okay. Nicely done, Sarah. You got it. All right. Now we go from her to Tom Tancredo. This happened late Friday, but we didn't get a chance to cover it yet. And I just loved it so much, so I wanted to come back to it. Tom Tancredo and Marcos Melitsas were on MSNBC. Schuster was filling in for Ed Schultz on that night. And they're having a conversation about health care, but it shifts over to immigration a little bit. It's Tom Tancredo, of course, and then to our soldiers that fight and for health care. So now they're back onto health care and back onto, as you'll see, the conversation will develop into a discussion of veterans, right? So then Marcos is going to say something that's not going to sit well with Tancredo. But before we play the clip, I should let you know what he's referring to, so you have a sense of why Tancredo gets upset. Tancredo was a person who lobbied, who fought for the Vietnam War. You know how they were doing protests against the Vietnam War back in the day? He was doing protests for the Vietnam War. So he's very active in that, politically active. Here's the only problem. After he graduated from college in 1969, he became eligible to serve in Vietnam. And Tancredo went to his physical and told his doctors that he was getting treated for depression and got a deferment. Look, I'd love to go to that war I've been advocating for the last 4 years, but I'm kind of bummed out. Maybe I'll die in the war or something. That's really depressing. Can I not go? And they say, yeah, you don't have to go. All right, now, with that in mind, let's go to this clip.
Medicare has already got lots and lots of problems, and I do think it's a problem. Absolutely. You can't keep doctors
so how about
in
the
it because
Veterans Administration? The Veterans Administration is a single-payer system.
Same
Everybody
thing.
in the military who was treated yesterday. So the military members, their healthcare system, that's also a threat to our freedom.
Talk to every veterans group I ever went and talked to complained about the Veterans Administration and the way it was a bureaucratically run program that didn't serve their needs. They would much rather have vouchers that would allow them to go out and buy their insurance in a private marketplace. They've talked about it. At least you're laughing, you may, but talk to the veterans. They talked to me, and that's what they said.
Marcos?
So I'm telling you, there is no government-run.
Tom, I'm a veteran, okay? I did not get a deferment because I was too depressed to fight in a war that I supported in Vietnam. I'm a veteran, Tom.
Yeah, well, that's
what people want, they want a more effective, they want a more effective VA.
You cannot.
That's
more
money.
No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to try to insult me that way and then pretend like we're just going on and talk about that. You either apologize.
I'm not pretending anything. I told you straight up. The issue here is what the Republicans are afraid of. This is a threat to Republicans. They built an entire ideology predicated on telling people that government does not work. They are terrified of government programs that work because then people will realize that the government's not the enemy and that they're going to work. They're going to vote Democratic because Democrats are the party who realize that people need help and government can sometimes offer solutions.
Thank you, Marcos Melitsas, and also Congressman Tom Tancredo for the time that he was with us. I think he left a little bit early, but the congressman is always welcome in the show. We always appreciate hearing his point of view, and it's a feisty one, and that's what we like around here. Marcos, thank you as well.
Good. That was awesome. That was awesome. He's like, I'm not going to stand for that. That's insulting and stupid. Wait. How's it stupid? It's only 100% right? Oh, you find it insulting? Well, I mean, sad day for you. How about you'd have gotten your ass over to Vietnam? Okay, and then we would have had a conversation. No, but what was great about that, he's like, I speak for veterans. I talk to them all the time. And Marcos is like, here's your problem, big guy. I'm a veteran, and you're not. Okay, so you don't speak for me. And of course Tancredo was making it up. What, veterans? Oh, no. Not only are they against the VA, which I have not read in any of the articles covering that story, okay? Is there problems from time to time? Yes, but overall they seem to be satisfied that they are receiving health care, right? Again, these are articles summarizing the situation that I've read, right? And I'm not a veteran either. But then Tancredo takes it a step further, and he's like, and plus they want private vouchers. Which veteran told you they want private vouchers instead of the VA system? What a load of crap. So when Marcos called him out on it, he's like, I demand you apologize. And he's like, that was, what did he say? That was misleading or something? He's like, there was nothing misleading about it. I just slapped you in the face. What are you going to do? Sit there and bleed? So Tancredo walks off because I guess he didn't want to sit there and bleed. Hey, Tom, next time you advocate for a war, you might want to think about serving. So, look, because I want to be absolutely clear, let me just also say, you don't have to be on one side or another. You don't have to serve to be on one side or another of a war, okay? I know that, right? But one of the consequences of that is sometimes on live TV, a veteran gets to bitch slap you around, okay? And you just got to live with it. Look, if I was on TV, and I'm for the Afghanistan war, back when I was a week ago, and then a veteran says, Cenk, what the hell would you know? And trumps me with the veteran thing, well, okay, well, he gets to do that, okay? And I wouldn't be like, oh, how dare you, that's insulting, and walk off the set. Well, I didn't go to the war. So, all right, now, Afghanistan is in the news. I think we're going to do that in the next hour because Obama's thinking of spending in more troops there, as you guys I'm sure are aware. We have some news on that today. At this point, I don't know what the hell those troops are going to do over there. I mean, I'm really, really concerned about that. So, oh, by the way, one last thing. I forget her rank, and I don't have the notes in front of me. Again, I saw it at the very end of last week. I think it's Shoshana. She was one of the women who were captured during the Iraq War, and then we wound up getting rescued. She's on with a right-winger. It was a really bad video, so I didn't want to bring it to you because it was taped off a TV and stuff like that. But anyway, just a little quick side note on this. And she's in a debate with a right-winger, and the right-winger says, I was in Iraq, and or I'm not sure if he was in Iraq, but he was in some sort of war theater. He's a veteran. He's JAG, right? Which is fine. It's great. There's nothing wrong with JAG. And he's like, well, were you ever there? She's like, yeah, I was a POW. And he's like, oh. Come on. Come on, you got to know what's going on here. But you know what it is? Their blanket assumption is if you're a Democrat, well, obviously you never fought in a war, you're not a veteran. You're not really an American. Oh, I didn't, but yeah, I assume you did. So that's how they are, you know it. All right, look, let's take a quick break here and come back. Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. Now it's time to talk to an old friend, Cliff Schechter. But no, we're not doing Republican sex debates today, which would be fun, of course. But we're going to do a very important issue. It's actually something that was on the ballot in Ohio. Now, the election's already happened, so you're saying, why are you discussing it now post-elections? Because I think it teaches a valuable lesson about how our system works. So, and Cliff knows the most about it, so that's why we want to bring him on. Cliff, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Cenk?
All right, great.
I just want to make sure you know that you're just as American as the rest of us, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sorry, I was reading your diary, Coast. Good job, as always.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that as well. Oh, and if everybody else wants to check it out, I'm not saying anything. It's just on theyoungturks.com. So read that as well over there on that side. Okay, so Cliff, what was issue 2 in Ohio? Let's set that up first. What was it?
Sure. What it is, was a power grab by big agriculture, quite frankly. The big corporate ag guys who, don't want to make sure that what they do, how they grow their food, how they treat it, how they keep animals, cannot be regulated by anyone. So you had a situation here where those decisions are made by the state legislature in accordance with the Department of Agriculture, and people would have a say in what occurs via ballot initiative here. So what they decided to do was to place a constitutional amendment on the ballot, which they did in record speed here. There were literally almost no hearings in the state house and state senate here because, quite frankly, they have a lot of money and bought everybody off. And I'm sorry if that language is too harsh, but that's just what it is. And both establishments, the Republican and Democratic establishments, quite frankly, and they got this constitutional amendment placed on the ballot, so people, without people really knowing what it was, and then spent over $4 million in a period of a few months going out and telling everybody that it was about safe, locally grown food, when in fact it could not have been more the opposite. I like to say it's akin to healthy forests, clear skies, and mission accomplished.
So what exactly did the amendment actually do?
What it did was it took all the power away from the Department of Agriculture, away from the legislature, and away from any ballot initiative that people might want to place on to regulate big ag. And it said that the governor would now have the right to appoint a board, 13 members, and 10 of them, by the way, would be appointed by the governor, another one by the state house, another one by the state senate, another one would be an animal rights, but I mean one seat on the board. So essentially 10 of the 13 are being appointed by the governor. And these guys can make the decisions in a back room somewhere. They're not transparent. For all we know, they can be people who sit on the board of DuPont, which shockingly, Pioneer Hybrid, a company based in Iowa, a big ag company that is now owned by DuPont, gave $100,000 to this effort. I'm sure that'll shock everybody. And so these guys can be appointed to this board, and they can make these decisions. And there's no right, because it's a constitutional amendment. It overrides anything in the department. So guys who are in the Department of Health or Agriculture that would have more expertise on this, doesn't matter. People who the legislature, assuming that people were actually elected that haven't been bought off by them, doesn't matter. If people choose to speak through ballot initiative, doesn't matter. You've got to get you literally the only way you can undo this is via another constitutional amendment.
So, Cliff, I know you lobbied against this, right? So,
lobbied, but I was hired as a consultant. I mean, with about 2.5 weeks before the campaign to go against it. So,
I got you.
I mean, full disclosure, I would work on the other side of it, absolutely. But we spent $100,000 our side. It so often happens in the progressive side. We spent $100,000, they spent $4 million. So we were outspent 40 to 1.
So I want to get to that in a quick second. But what was it that you guys wanted? I mean, what do you think is the better way of handling that kind of regulation?
Well, what happened was that, the Humane Society and some other organizations came in here. Remember, this is an issue that has to do with how animals are kept, and so there are people that will care because it has to do with animal cruelty, animals stuffed into small crates where they literally can't turn around, they can't stretch their wings if they're birds. I mean, it deals with those issues, but it deals with so many other issues. I mean, there's an article a couple of weeks ago in New York Times Magazine about a woman perfectly healthy, I think in her 20s, who ate a hamburger one night and is now paralyzed for the rest of her life because of E. coli. She got hit by E. coli, and it was because in one of these factory farms, these huge factory farms, and we're talking about there's one here in Ohio that has 25 million birds on it, so just think about that for a second. They didn't clean things properly. So it has to do with public health. There's a lot of evidence now, and it's growing, that swine flu, H1N1, is a byproduct of how animals are kept.
Right, but how would you regulate it, Cliff?
Okay, sorry. What they want to do, so with all this in mind, in Michigan, for example, the Humane Society came in and other groups and sat down with the owners of factory farms, and they came up with some procedures. They sat down together and worked it out so that, there would be regulations, but they wouldn't be so stringent as to put these guys out of business. Obviously, these guys are making gazillions of dollars. Should be reasonable regulations, so they're not piling animals on top of each other. And so that there are some more safeguards against unclean practices, environmental safeguards because some of the spillage when you've got 25 million chickens on a farm, and you can guess that probably would create a lot of poop.
I hear you on that. So, Cliff,
handled properly, that gets into our drinking water, right?
Right.
So that's all it was. And in Michigan, they handled it the right way. But what happened here was when the Humane Society and others came in here to talk to them about it, they responded by saying, okay, let's talk about it. And then behind their backs immediately, when I say they, I mean big agriculture, getting this constitutional amendment placed on the ballot by the legislature.
The reason I find that interesting, Cliff, is because, look, you come in with your $100,000 trying to beat this back. They've got $4 million. I saw in the charts, mostly by very large agricultural firms that have donated to that.
Interest groups, right?
And interest groups. There are special interest groups. And
National Pork Producers Council, stuff like that.
Yeah. Right. So, since they have the money, it's easy for them to overpower you guys, and they buy more ads, and they tell people, oh, no, we're coming in to regulate this, when in fact they're trying to do the opposite. And two, the other interesting lesson I got out of it is they think it's easier to buy the governor, a single politician, and get 10 people on the board that's on their side than to do it in another way. So is that something that we got to look out for in the future?
It is, because here's what they said. They said in a number of newspapers here that this was a model for what they plan to do around the rest of the country, and that's why it's so important for people listening to this show from all around the country to understand this, that you guys out in California passed Proposition 2, which scared them because it regulated factory farms. And a few other states, Arizona, Florida, and then Michigan, had the compromise. So these guys decided they were going to preempt reasonable regulation. And as we all know, as we've learned from Wall Street and other places, when these guys get to regulate themselves, it always works out really well for consumers, doesn't it? So they realize, as we all know, that when power is put in the executive, it's always more dangerous. I mean, the legislature, no matter how bought off or whatever, is always going to be closer to the people. When you put power in the hands of an executive, whether it's making decisions of whether to stay in Afghanistan or whether it's deciding if they're going to listen to the corporate guys with big money or saying, nah, don't regulate the farms, it's okay, or that you are going to regulate them, we know who they're going to put on the board. And sadly, in the state of Ohio, the Democrats are just as guilty as Republicans. This is not, people want to try to blame Republicans. Well, you can't, because our Democratic governor, our Democratic state house speaker, and others were right there with the Republicans.
So, and then in the end, Cliff, obviously they won, right?
Yes, they won. I mean, quite frankly, we got 37% of the vote, and for a 2.5-week, $100,000 campaign, I was pretty damn happy with that. And hopefully that's something to build upon in the future. But I want to make sure that other people, other states, don't get hit suddenly by this kind of a thing. And, activists out there who are listening, who care about the food they eat, who care about their health and the health of their families, who care about the environment, will be ready for this kind of thing. And hopefully when you hear something that sounds too good, a board's going to be put in place of agricultural experts, placed in there by the governor who will protect our local food, sniff a rat where there is one, quite frankly.
I got you. And you know what? It makes sense for them, too, because it's more cost-effective to buy one politician than to buy a lot of them. So they just go pour money into governors and mission accomplished, and that's how it works. All right, Cliff, thanks for the warning for what's coming ahead. We appreciate it, and always good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me on, and after this serious edition, we'll have to get back to more Republican sexual habits in the future.
All right, sounds good. It's a plan.
Take care, buddy.
All right, take care. Young Turks.
When you're strange, when you're strange.